Good morning, everyone. Today is June the 14th, and this is Trading Market Futures in 5 charts. This morning I was in on the Benzinga pre-market show, and we were talking about the Benzinga traders for a cause event next week. Certainly hope I get to see you. But what I brought up was a comment that I heard from Brian Shannon many years ago, and he said, "Hey, listen, if the market doesn't scare you out, it's going to wear you out because we're sitting in this wait state." And take a look. This is a 6 hour chart. Take a look at the candlestick formations. How many days have we been sitting in this space? Our primary trigger says downside action. So we're looking for a support hunt simply because we are sitting at this particular region right here above this moving average that I like to use. And so that really is where we're at. I think we're in a wait state. I think we're waiting on the Fed. I think we're waiting on trade war news. I think we're waiting on whatever. And so in this particular space, we are seeing a tremendous amount of motion that is really landlocked. And it's landlocked between 28.76 and 29.12. And so that is what we are looking at. Look at how quiet the momentum has gotten. Today is options expiration. Next week, we have the big options expiration where everything expires at the same time, the futures, the stocks, everything. And so that really is what we are looking at in terms of waiting for price action to shift in a general space. My supposition is the same today as it was several days ago. Pullbacks are buy zones only into resistance. We've rolled a contract, so we're moving ahead. And this is what we're going to look at, right? It just is what it is. Let's take a look at the NQ. The NQ is doing the same thing, exactly the same thing, caught in a range, has a little bit more downside pressure, right? Everything's coming into this particular focal point, and that's going to be a really big support edge. If we start losing this edge today, this 56 zone, we're very likely to head back to 74.12, 74.10. This is where we're at. The midline of our motion is right around these areas, right? And that is really where we are in the midline of this massive congestion range. You can see its resistance here, and it's holding as support here. Pressure is much more bullish than it was over here. It was very negative here. And so this gives us sideways motion with the pressure event saying that buyers are going to come in to the fore. Again, same thing here. Now, this brings up a good question. How in the world can you trade when you're looking at something that's moving sideways like this, particularly from an indices perspective, if you're looking for trend and breakout formation? Well, you can't if that's what you're looking for. However, if you're looking for sideways action that holds in a range, then you can trade the bottom, then you can trade the top. So what do you look for? Well, for me, I like this fade off of this edge because I'm thinking about a big bearish formation. However, we've had a big bullish run, and a shallow fade like this usually gives us another run to the upside. And so this is really what we're looking at. Will a shallow fade give us another press upward because the Fed decides it's going to give us the catalyst that we need? Or is the Fed going to hold pat and say, listen, we want to see more data. We only have a couple bullets left in this gun, and we have to be very, very careful how we extend it. This again, is my thought. And so we are range bound. So you trade the range. You go long here, you go short there, and the second it starts breaking out, listen, when it breaks, it's going to be a house of fire. It's not going to break nice and slow, okay? It's going to break hard and fast, and my suspicion is the same thing is going to move here. So Joel Cannon said, hey, if two tankers getting torpedoed does not push oil off of these lows, what's going to do it? Well, therein lies the question. This is a bigger story here, and it's a global slowdown story. And it's a story of limited demand amidst a lot of supply. And so we're going to hold through these edges. When it comes into this area, we take the long. When it comes into this area, we take the short. And this area up here is 54. This area down here is 50. And right in the middle at 52, this is where we were battling yesterday. Exactly. Now, this is a weekly chart. So if I go down to a 6 hour formation, what you're going to see is a very noisy patch. It's going to be super sideways. What I wanted to bring into focus was how important it is that we are looking at this particular range because indeed what it is very sideways. Are we near potential bottom? Maybe. I actually think so. I actually think that 50 is going to be the bottom that we see. Doesn't mean that we won't stretch lower, we just will hold and bounce a bit. And so, can you trade it all the way down deeply? Yes, you can. Is the momentum still relatively downward? Yes, it is. We're sitting underneath these histogram areas. So, we know we've got bearish action. But if we get above here and we start holding this zone, it's going to be another story. All these things point to, if I'm looking at this, is a support hunt, and that support hunt is giving us exactly this trigger event. All right, lastly, we're going to take a look at gold. Gold is a beast right now, and it's breaking out. If we take a look, this is not the composite contract, so let's get that composite contract. All right, and if we take a look at, well, this composite doesn't show those high edges, now does it? That's very odd. All right, whatever the case is, this is negative divergence, so it is not holding the high. If we go back to the Q, and we see it here, we've got the same drift, right? The same drift. We could have rolled contracts, which is why we're sitting back down in this area at 55, but this is technical divergence. You cannot buy the high here unless you want to risk a bunch, right? And it broke out at the 33, excuse me, at the 1337. So, 1347 makes for the next space, but this is done for a moment. People are going to be taking profit. All right, that's it. Good luck trading today.